Hello and welcome to Bounding Into Comics. My name is John Trent. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. And today I got a story about Naomi executive producer Ava DuVernay reportedly firing a Netflix showrunner for, quote, cultural insensitivity. An unnamed showrunner working on a sequel to Roald Dahl's Matilda for Netflix was reportedly fired by Ava DuVernay, as I said, for, quote, cultural insensitivity. A new report from Matthew Bellany at Puck claims that DuVernay and her Array Filmworks production company was working with Netflix to create a new series based off Roald Dahl's Matilda. This new Matilda series would see a grown-up Matilda traveling around the world with an 8-year-old gifted black child, recruiting other gifted children for their school. The report from Bellany claims that DuVernay hired an unnamed white woman to be the showrunner and created a pilot for the show with her. The showrunner then, quote, hired a diverse 5-person staff with writers representing the global backgrounds of people who might be featured on the show. However, these writers were apparently unhappy with the showrunner. Bellany claims, quote, a vocal part of the staff didn't feel like the showrunner was attuned to the cultural sensitivities required for the material. Although he also suggests that it's possible many of the writers were also not happy that they were taking orders from a white woman, given they were hired to work on an Ava DuVernay project. Nevertheless, Bellany would go on to claim that some of the writers complained they were being asked to write about characters that aligned with their own personal background. These writers believe they should be writing for all of the characters. It's really interesting because you have the Hollywood people saying only black people can write black characters, and then you have this report when they're trying to write other characters that they should be writing other characters. I'm of the opinion that anyone can write any kind of character, and it's just kind of like utterly ridiculous to try and pigeonhole people based on their skin color, that they can only write characters that look like themselves. Just utterly absurd, nonsense argument. And so I just find it hilarious that you have these Hollywood types saying that you only can have a black person writing a black character, but then in the same breath you have a report like this claiming that the writers are unhappy that they are only being pigeonholed to writing characters that look like themselves. It's almost like you can't really have your cake and eat it too. But moving on, Bellany also claims some of them accuse the show of featuring a white savior narrative, given it's a grown-up Matilda recruiting a number of children to take to her school. These complaints reportedly sparked an actual investigation by Netflix, to which Bellany claims his sources informed him that investigation didn't confirm much. Nevertheless, despite Netflix's investigation not turning up anything, DuVernay and Paul Garnes, the president of Array Filmworks, fired the showrunner. Bellany reports, so the showrunner, who was cleared by Netflix, was nonetheless terminated, not for cause, paid out. She signed an NDA, and everything is on pause now until Array can bring in another showrunner, a showrunner who may or may not keep those writers who complained in the first place. So that'll be interesting to see if they actually fire all the writers who were complaining about the showrunner in the first place. But I think the bigger picture here is that, yes, this report can technically be considered a rumor. It's not hard to find it believable given Ava DuVernay's past. And I think this just is another piece of evidence that Ava DuVernay is a racist. So back in June 2020, she made it very clear she was a racist when she threatened to discriminate against white men when hiring for her films. In response to a lengthy thread from Nicole French, which I'm not going to get into. That's a whole other video in itself. We have an article up on Bounding Into Comics. If I remember, I'll try and put it in the description so you can check that out if you want to. But she responded to this thread from Nicole French, and DuVernay tweeted, everyone has a right to their opinion, and we, black producers with hiring power, have the right to not hire those who diminish us. She went on to add, so to the white men in this thread, if you don't get the job you were up for, kindly remember bias can go both ways. This is 2020 speaking. I think that's very clear on what she's saying there. She's going to discriminate against people that are white and men. That is called racism. There's no if, ands, or buts about that. In July 2020, DuVernay would further show off her racism, responding to a poll showing President Donald Trump was receiving 49% support from white people. DuVernay tweeted, basically half of all white folks, this is where we are. After all that we've been through, whiteness over democracy, whiteness over safety, whiteness over justice, that is what these numbers mean. 49% SMH, shorthand for shaking my head. Clearly another racist tweet. And just as another example, there's a lot more, but we're just going to keep it here with, with 3. In November 2020, DuVernay would also claim she was participating in a war with members of Black Lives Matter. In a speech shared to the Black Lives Matter Los Angeles Instagram account, DuVernay said, "Listen, I'm not a speaker, I'm a storyteller. I like to be behind the scenes. I like to put the good doctor up front. Thank you for holding space for this resistance, for this power, for this voice, for demonstrating who we are, that we can proclaim what we want, that we can exercise rights that are given to us and rights that we take that are not given to us, and that we can declare what we want. This moment is not an end-all, be-all. You know this vote, we know this election is not even the half of what is ahead of us and what needs to happen tomorrow and the next day and the next day, but it is a tool and it is a weapon in our arsenal, and we are in a fight, we are in a war." She then said, "I think the question here is, what do we do tomorrow? What will we continue to do? We know what we are going to do. We are going to keep loving each other. We are going to keep charging. We are going to keep our heads up. We are going to keep moving forward regardless." While it's unclear who DuVernay is at war with, the Black Lives Matter organization has made it clear they want to defund police. Black Lives Matter Los Angeles tweeted, "We don't want to hug the police. We don't want to kneel with the police. We don't want to meet with the police. We want to defund the police." The Black Lives Matter organization also noted on their website they wanted to, quote, "disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable." The organization also advocated, quote, "to dismantle cisgender privilege and then uplift Black trans folks, especially Black trans women who want to be disproportionately impacted who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence." So apparently they just don't like normal human beings. So again, this is not a surprise from Ava DuVernay that she would do this. She has clearly been talking about doing something like this for quite a bit now, and she's completely unhinged. She shouldn't be in Hollywood. She clearly is not very creative. People are not watching her shows. Almost everything she has really touched has bombed. I remember just beginning with A Wrinkle in Time at Disney's absolutely failed at the box office, and then even her most recent stuff with Naomi on the CW has also been really a horrible failure. Just looking at how many people are tuning in, and it's not a lot. But let me know what you think. My name is John Trent, and you've been watching Bounding into Comics.